Okay, I guess we will go ahead and get started, and hopefully those folks that are trying to hop on will be able to join us in just a moment. So this is the action planning version of this series. We're going to kind of wrap up this year. And next year we'll start back up again in August. So we've kind of gone through that whole awareness gambit of like the beginning part, what's exactly happening and how have they been revised, to how do we work within this with special topics like working with Indigenous youth or that IFA integration component, or how do we differentiate and all those kinds of things. So that's where we've been. And now we're sort of moving into that action planning and next steps piece. So there will be some time today for all of you to collaborate a little bit. And I hope you'll feel comfortable coming off mute so that we can work together to do some coaching and get you something you can walk away with. So with that said, there is a resource you're going to want today. It's this participant handout. If you haven't pulled those before, you're going to definitely want it today because we're going to lean on it heavily. And Eva will drop that in the chat in just a moment for everybody if you don't want to look at it on your tiny little phone. But we will use that participant handout. We will also, as always, be engaged. I mentioned maybe you'll feel comfortable coming off mute or putting in the chat some comments so we can sort of work together today. And then at the end, if you would be willing to give some feedback, that will really help inform our year two progression, what we're going to be doing. Objectives are really to work with, sorry, I got an email that distracted me. Our objectives today are to move through all of the pieces that we've discussed and kind of put the puzzle pieces together to make that picture of what implementation will look like at your site. So that's kind of the big overarching goal. Hopefully figure out some next steps that you want to do that's relevant to your context, and then develop that sort of action plan outline that is going to hopefully carry you through the next year. So we're looking really at that like connectivity, targeted next steps for like just within the next couple months, and then a little bit of outlining for that bigger picture. As always, we have some ARM requirements that we have to meet. And I see everybody has their cameras on, which is really, really helpful for that. So thank you. We'll hopefully have some participation and reflection today. And then if you want those PDUs, we need to fill out the evaluation survey at the end. We'll send that to you by Monday at the latest. So to kick off that collaboration piece, I'm curious if you've joined us throughout all of the series, if you can type in which session has influenced your thinking or practice the most. And if you haven't joined us for the whole series, maybe which topic would you might want to go back and review a little bit that might, captures your interest a little. And if you could drop that in the chat, I'll take a peek. Welcome, Angela. We're just getting started. This is the first question. We're just checking in, so you're right on time. We are asking everybody to just identify either the area that they already learned about that they felt was really impactful, or if they're just joining us, they're sharing an area that they want to go back and revisit from the series. And I'm seeing in the chat some comments about structure and shift, curriculum alignment, and IFA integration. There weren't a whole lot of people on that IFA one, but I will shout that out because we just did that one last month. And I share a actual classroom strategy that's pretty easy to implement in a classroom. It's pretty realistic. So check that out if you're interested. Okay, so there's some answers already from the last question. This one is more asking, as we look forward to the future, which area is your kind of nexus of focus? So where are you going to be applying your focus and shaping your implementation plan around it? I see curriculum alignment. No surprise there, Rachel. I feel like that's probably what most people are thinking is important at this point. That's the big question. So I have my textbook. What do I do with the standards in my textbook? Differentiation. Yep, curriculum alignment, more EFA. Okay, so this is not something that you need to type into the chat. This is just more of a self-reflection. And if you are using that participant guide, there is a section right here that says implementation readiness. It's on the second page. It's asking you to just privately jot down if you're thinking about yourself, what do you need to have in place, one thing, to feel like you're truly ready for implementation? If you're coming from more that district perspective, maybe you're an administrator, what does your district need? And just jot a note down privately or write on a piece of paper at your desk or something. We're going to use this in a moment. Do we need another minute? If you're ready, could you give me a little thumbs up? Awesome. Thank you. Okay, if you're still writing down some notes, that's okay. We're going to start to move into kind of taking that one piece that you really, really need and what does that look like for all these different components. So this is based off the Carnegie model. We're going to consider, and Eva just dropped the full link into the chat. You don't really need it for this session at all, but if you're interested in this model, that's where you can research it a little further. We want to start to think about with that component that you identified as necessary, what needs to be prepared for that to happen? What are we going to change in practice, or what are we going to implement to make that piece happen, or change our practice so that it's effective? And then how will we know it's working? So what metric are we going to use to measure its success? Does that look like student data? Does that look like classroom data? A curriculum review, what is that like? And then how are we going to adjust or sustain? So what I thought might be helpful for this is maybe we could walk through somebody's, if somebody's willing to share, maybe they could share the thing that they wrote down and we could all kind of discuss openly these four components. Did anyone write down like a curriculum alignment component?
So, what I wrote down was looking at a K-8 aligned curriculum because right now we have one curriculum for K-5 and another for 6-8. So potentially looking at aligning curriculum K-8, and then also one of the things that we would need is just everybody would need some kind of professional development or access to even know where to access the standards. So any
Mhm.
of the K-8 teachers who are teaching math, kind of those are my starting points.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that, Rachel.
Mhm.
So you already gave us the component that you want in place and then what needs to be prepared, right? Is there something that we would need to change in practice? And anyone's welcome. If we were talking about doing that curriculum alignment, what would need to happen in practice?
Well, wouldn't we just need time to actually just collaborate and work together?
Yep, that could be one thing that I would write down for sure. Time. And then how would we know? So let's say we go through the process, right? We're doing a curriculum alignment at our site. We have that PD that Rachel mentioned. We have the time that Mary mentioned, right? We've sat down and done the work. Then what is that work? What does that, when we go to apply it in practice, look like?
And to me, it's just making sure that the standards are aligning with our curriculum and so that the strategies that we're using are meeting the needs of the students. So we would need to look at the student data to see if that's reflecting um, the changes that we are making to the curriculum, if we make changes.
Yeah, yep, I agree. So what I'm hearing is we need to prepare by doing PD and making time to work together. We do, right? We actually go forth and implement whatever curriculum or strategies that we're going to use, right? And then I heard you say, Rachel, with the study component, we're going to be looking at some student data. And I would add too, maybe we have some kind of a implementation fidelity tool that we're going to use at the local level. Maybe we're sending out a survey to our teachers of, how closely did you stick with the curriculum or the resources that we provided, something like that, so that we could see that kind of a cross metric with that student data, right? Anything else that we would want to add to that component, the study component, before we move on to ACT?
Would it be more of adding like the student assessments of their own, like how they feel they are doing within the standards as we are teaching them?
Yeah, I think you could absolutely use a student assessment or like a survey or something to add to that study piece. And that's kind of the beauty of these types of plans, right? It's really what works for you in your district. I think having data that you can look at, period, is really good. There is uh, let's see, Make Math Moments is an organization that talks a lot about implementation of math. Um, Curriculums and pretty much any kind of initiative that you want to implement, they have training on that. And they always say to be very specific in that study component so that it's easy to look at that data as being successful or not successful. So they really push people to funnel down what specific thing are we going to look at. An example of that would be maybe we have, priority standards as a district, and those are the ones that we want to actually measure instead of being overwhelmed by all of the standards or something, that first year in particular. Thanks, Eva. Um, okay, so let's say we go through, we had everything we thought we needed. We went and did the work. We have all the student data that we could possibly need and desire. How are we going to start this wheel over again? So what's that step look like under ACT? How are we going to adjust or sustain the work? Another way to ask that question might be, what do you do at your sites once you have data? How does that data what process do you engage in to use that data and inform your practice?
So we have either math team meetings or grade level meetings, but other ways you could do it is just a professional learning community to make sure that you're continuing to always come back to the standards and reflect on, is it working? Isn't it working? What do we need to change?
Mm-hmm. Rachel, I love those ideas. I think that's great. Does anyone else have any other ideas that they might do with their site?
So sometimes we meet and talk about, like we have student success team meetings where we look at where students might be struggling and maybe brainstorm some other additional differentiation or other ideas that might help that student be more successful.
Mary, are the students involved in that process?
Not yet.
Oh, okay, cool.
So it's basically just, teachers that work with those kids, but
Mhm.
that's actually not a bad idea.
I was just curious. The way you explained it, I was like, oh, I wonder if that's like a student-driven thing. That'd be interesting. But cool. That sounds like a good way to kind of react and refine as well. Thank you for sharing that. Does anybody involve like community partners or anything in kind of their um, strategic action plans for their schools and achievement and all of that? I'm seeing no's, which isn't, it's not a necessary thing. I was just kind of curious and wondered what that would look like if someone were doing that. But that might be something if your district is prioritizing that community voice, maybe there's a place for it in the way that you choose to act and do that sustainability piece.
Um, I had a
Yeah.
question for the group. If I was wondering if anyone uses video, like recordings of teaching practices, like of just a lesson to reflect on, if that's something people do these days. I'm guessing not.
We
I'm not
haven't, but
saying,
oh, sorry.
oh, no, you go ahead, Rachel.
We haven't done that. I did that years ago, where we would video and reflect, but we are trying to work on a process to get in and observe each other as colleagues, as teachers, and just see what's going on in each other's spaces. But we don't do the videos as of right now.
Matt, I
I,
know, is my speaker working?
yes.
Yeah, okay. Sometimes the headphones make it weird. Matt, I know Victor was like in the process a year or two ago, kind of making a video library of instructional strategies. So I'm not sure if that continued or not, but they were doing it. Sounded cool.
I think what's really cool about that idea too is that it can be really hard to find subs to cover your class while you go do that. And it's also, in my experience, very hard to give up my prep time for that as well. So it would be so powerful if a school did have those recordings of teachers' best practices and could kind of review those on their own time when there's a little more flexibility in their schedule. That's a great idea, Matt. Thanks for sharing it. Okay, so we have done some of this work. This is all on one piece, right? We really just talked about what it would look like if we were going to implement. And if you are using the participant guide and you want to use that practice with your own strategy or tool that you wrote down that you needed, this is the little section that you do. That's right at the top of page 3, I believe. We are going to dive a little bit deeper. So this was one thing. We want to look more big picture. So we're going to use this participant guide again, and we're going to scroll down to the third page. At the top, we have plan. We're going to go through each of those components again, and I've got some action steps that we're going to start to really focus on who owns it, because I think that might be a good spot to begin to then think about key actions and all that. So there's this middle column that says who's responsible, who owns this work. We're going to go through, and as we go through, if you could just jot some ideas of who might be responsible for that in your building, we will discuss it in just a moment. The first part of this is planning. And I wrote down some action steps. You do not have to stick fiercely to this list. You also can add whatever you need to. This is meant to be flexible, but give people a starting point. So we would typically start this process 4 to 16 weeks before we wanted to actually do that implementation part. This is all initial planning. And when you actually work through a strategic plan to do something this big, it's usually iterative. So you have a plan and then you go back and refine and go through that process over and over again. But really 4 to 16 weeks for that initial planning period, again, depending on who's involved, how many people, how much time you have, all of those things. Some of the key steps here would be to formulate that strategic action plan, right? What are your timeline, your shifts, monitoring stakeholders, et cetera. This is probably at most sites up to like an administrator or a curriculum coach or something like that. But at our smaller sites where there's really just one teacher doing all of the work, this can really fall on a teacher's lap as well, which is why I expanded it to 16 weeks so that they would have some more time. Another key preparation step would be to consider how that change is going to be managed. It could kind of create some barriers if you announce, so we're switching our whole curriculum. You know, there's obviously local things that come up when that happens. So considering how you're going to manage and communicate that change is always important. Clarifying that whatever that change is that you decide to do is going to somehow be connected to that district vision of math instruction that's specific to your site. Maybe doing some unpacking of standards and working on teacher clarity if that's not something that you've engaged in before or you want to re-engage in as these changes are happening. You might do some identification of maybe priority standards or domains, especially if the burden is on just a couple key players. It may not be feasible to do all of the changes in 1 year. It might look more like a scaffolded approach where you're just focusing on one domain at a time. We also might start to look at things like a curriculum audit. What does our curriculum have in it? Where is the alignment? Do we need new curriculum? All those questions are local level. We might start to consider calibrating K-12 vocabulary in math. That I added because it's come up with a lot of schools that I've been at visiting. They've kind of mentioned like, hey, we don't use the same standard language K-12 to describe the same thing. Some teachers, for instance, are saying plussing instead of adding or summation, or there's all these different words for the same kind of concept. And that can create some challenges for students. So that I added just based off of some school feedback. Another thing that schools might start to do or teachers themselves might start to do is look at what instructional shifts are needed. They might start doing that professional development piece that Rachel mentioned earlier, which is so vital. And then I wrote an extra step for high school. They may start to look at the whole program offerings because of the new guidance about pathways and things like that. So they might be looking a little bit more macro as far as course levels go, rather than just a single course at a time. So hopefully you have a couple minutes to just jot down who owns these steps or who you think might be responsible for them. And then if you have any questions or you want me to elaborate on anything before we move on, I'll pause and you can come off mute or type in the chat, whatever you prefer. Mary, I agree. The entire staff should be helping with this lift. Um, definitely, I would assume some of these you're writing explicitly, like whole staff needs, this training or something, especially that PD part, right? There's probably pieces that you think, maybe that's just limited to a couple people who are really gonna like go forth and be the leaders of that work, but we're involving everybody else. But yes, ultimately, this is a school and district-wide effort. Were there any questions that came up or, local level context that you need clarity on? All right, seeing none. The next part of this would be the doing, and it would take about a year or two, depending on how your schedule is sort of set up within your plan. I mentioned that some sites might choose to triage this work, right? So they may focus on specific domains, and maybe that's one per semester so that they could get that within, a couple years. But I think a lot of our districts are really shooting for 1 year because of that assessment alignment component as well. There is a little bit of pressure to get this done quickly. So when they go transition into that doing phase, they would be focusing on instruction and practice. And this is where you see things like either implementation of curriculum that exists at the site in a new way or an adjusted way, or there may be buying new curriculum if that was kind of coming up already. I know some districts are at that phasing. It's not required for the new standards, but some districts are making that choice. And they also might start to bring in that supplemental materials. So as a district, they might decide, okay, here are the gaps. Here are the high quality instructional materials we're going to use to fill those gaps. And now we're going to start using them, right? They might start to revise or redesign some lesson plans. They might be re-looking at how they're going to be using those math practices and doing that work in the classroom, or incorporating new EFA or local context applications in their classrooms. They're going to be really just kind of trying everything that they talked about during the planning phase and seeing what's working and what's not working. And this is where it kind of goes back and forth a little bit, because they might try something that doesn't work, and then that teacher or that school might have to go back to the plan and adjust. So that was that iterative piece I kind of mentioned. The very last thing is mindfully collecting data as they're doing the work so that they don't get to the back end and have to collect everything on the end. Additionally, for high school, if they're trying to review their program, they might start to like launch new courses if that's happening. Again, not required, but if that's a choice they're making, then they would do that launch during that instruction and practice period. So once again, on, I believe it's page 4, we have do, and I have all those things listed. And if you could write down who's going to own that work, meaning who's kind of the leader of it in your site, or who's maybe most responsible for it. I'm assuming the answer is going to be the same for most of you. Anyone care to shout out who's responsible in their opinion for most of this work? Yep. Mary says herself. With support and help, but mostly Mary. Mostly teachers. Yeah, Rachel, I agree. Most of these things are teacher based. You might have some like counselor support in this launching of a new course. You might have some administrative support with data collection, but the majority of this really is on the teachers to see how their implementation plan is working. All right, the next component is that study, which we talked about before. Here are some specific steps of what that might look like in the context of the math implementation for the new standards. So we might be engaging in some measurable outcomes and evidence of success collection. We might be developing or refining some assessments that we are giving in the classroom. We are going to probably start analyzing that student work, especially what those misconceptions are, because we might have to go back to our plan and our do phases to make adjustments as necessary. We might be using our mass data at this point if we're teaching those grades 3 through 8. If not, we're probably using some other school site data that we collect through an assessment or maybe the ACT, though we don't always get those reports back the way that we can use them in the classroom, but we might be looking at some of those data components for sure. We might be reviewing all of that in implementation fidelity piece. So we tried something. How much was that something actually tried is a pretty important question. And I think a hard one to really measure with data in schools. But it can be done. And we definitely want to be looking at that data if we have it. So this is crucial for finding out where those implementation gaps were at, so that when we go through the cycle again, we can do an even better job the next time. So once again, this is about every 2 to 4 weeks. It kind of repeats throughout the year or two that we mentioned before. I want to just be clear for the people that might be listening to this after the fact that this is not 2 to 4 weeks after 2 years of work. This is every 2 to 4 years, or sorry, 2 to 4 weeks within the year or two. But if you could maybe write down some key players or maybe even next steps if you're at that point in your noting. And also if there's anything that we have as far as questions or ideas for maybe how to measure that implementation fidelity, please feel free to shout it out.
I would just maybe suggest being mindful of the components of communication, not just reading and writing, but also speaking and listening as forms of assessment and evidence of student proficiency.
Yes, I agree. That those math practices, the collaborating one is definitely heavy leaning on that student discourse. So that speaking and listening piece as well. Does anybody have any ideas for how they might try to see how much their colleagues are actually implementing the practice that they want to put into play? Mary says through surveys and self-reflection. Yeah, I was at a site recently where they do that kind of yearly when they implement something new. They send out a quick survey to the staff and ask them how much did they use it. And also, I think, I don't want to be quoted on this part because I don't know if this is 100% true, but I think that they mentioned that they also asked what support they would need in order to be more effective at that during the self-reflection. So if somebody said, for instance, that they didn't really implement the initiative, the second question after that was, what would you need to be more effective at implementing? If I was understanding what they were saying correctly. But those surveys and self-reflection can be pretty powerful tools. I think maybe it was Rachel that mentioned PLCs earlier. Is that right? So that verbal experience, I still think is a valid metric of what teachers are doing as far as implementation, right? So just kind of discussing it as a team can also be something that you can use as a data point. And then Matt really, I think what he was speaking to was more this refining and maybe developing a wider type of student assessment so that it's not always rote work. Is that right, Matt? Did I capture that you're thinking? Good. Great. Okay. The last, I say in quotations because we would again be doing this iteratively, but it's the last kind of phase on our circle, is to act. So this would be where we take that data and we respond, and then we maybe go back to planning and doing, and it just kind of goes round and round and round, as we know from working in schools that no system is ever perfect. So during the act phase, we would be we'd be taking that evidence and then adjusting our instructional practice or refining something that we do in our classrooms or in our PLCs itself. Maybe our PLC is not functioning the way we want to. Maybe it's not as responsive. So we might be looking at that component. How can we refine that piece? We might be using that space to discuss our findings and our next steps. We're definitely looking at what professional learning needs we need as we go through this cycle, because gaps are going to come up. We might say, oh, we tried this, but what we're really finding out is that our students are struggling with these geometry standards, right? And we're seeing that in the assessment, and we really don't have any good models that we want to use. So let's get some PD around that, for instance. And then we are going to start looking at how we could do continuous improvement. So we're going to start setting up natural routines that are going to occur through that cycle. Anyone want to take a guess at who typically does this part? Or state who does it in your site? Angela, great answer. She says admin, teachers, probably in partnership in most school settings, right? I don't know that we have a lot of mega districts that do like top-down kind of initiatives like that in our state. This would most likely be a partnership between both groups, especially because those admin are going to be the people who probably acquire the professional learning, or make it possible for you to go through funding sources or something like that. These happen about every 1 to 2 weeks after that data collection piece. So if you are collecting that data on a cycle of every 4 weeks, let's say you have a once a month PLC, then 1 to 2 weeks after you're responding. And then you're going back to planning, back to doing, you kind of keep going around. It's a real cycle, not a linear function. Had to put in the oscillation thing. Your work is gonna oscillate. And it's going to go back and forth, and sometimes it'll be perfect, and sometimes you'll say, what were we thinking? And you'll have to completely reinvent the wheel. But that careful studying and planning can really make the difference. The one key component, I am sure that it's been an experience of some of you on the call, that when we don't see immediate success, sometimes in schools, we panic a little and we can drop an initiative within a year or two. Remember, those standards need to be implemented for in perpetuity until they change them again, right? So we would want to continue to work on that through that process and timeline, not just completely abandon, but more refine. And this was an interesting statistic I came upon recently that I thought would be empowering to share. That this is from Darling Hammond is the citation. I do have it linked down here if you'd like to look at it yourself, that report. But this research report states that it takes an average of 49 hours of professional learning per year to implement something effectively. And that implementation of that PD has an average increase of student achievement by 21 percentile points. So that PD is really powerful in making a movement on student outcomes. I will note there's more in there about what that PD should look like, so feel free to, research it. It's not all PD like this. A lot of it is that PLC time and that work time as a team to do the things that you need. But I did do the math because this is a math webinar. It does come out to about 4 to 5 hours per month of PD, which I don't know that does anybody get 4 to 5 hours of time to do professional development? I didn't think so. So it was an interesting statistic. But okay, now as we kind of wrap up and tie everything up in a neat little bow, I'm kind of curious if anyone wants to share what they're thinking their priority actions are. This could be one or two, no more than three maybe, but where's your focus really going to be before July 1st? And after you've had time to think, if anyone wants to share out, we would probably all love to hear what you're thinking.
So we just started a new curriculum this year. So I think what we need to do the most is really look at all the data from the new, what happened with MAST as we went through.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So see the changes in that for us.
Do you mean like responding to the results and then kind of
Yeah.
assessing what happened with your new curriculum and if there was a
Yep.
gap in learning?
Yep. See if we missed something or just checking in with it.
Mm-hmm. There is a new link. And maybe Eva can on the back end search for it. I didn't give it to her ahead of time, so this is a pop quiz for Eva. But there is a new link from the assessment team where they're willing to provide specific PD to school districts. So if that's something that you want, you can drop that in the chat. You can, if you guys are doing that work and you kind of decide that there's questions coming up and you want some support in that, she'll drop the link, hopefully. If not, I'll email it to you afterward, Angela. Mary said alignment with science curriculum so that students are ready to participate with the math involved. And yes, I'm so glad you said this because this came up recently in our team. Claire, Michelle, who is our science coordinator, and myself were all talking about, do we ever actually map out where the skills are between our different content areas and whether or not kiddos are actually equipped with the knowledge? And we were really looking at things like data and because in science there's a lot of like interpreting graphs and things that we were curious if those happen in a math classroom aligned with when they happen in a science classroom. So that is a very interesting thing you said.
Yeah, well, and even just aligning, finding density, and
Yeah.
knowing, your mass over volume and dividing and the show again, supporting the importance of showing your work and using the correct units and that yes, we do still use math in science, so it's not just in a box, during math time. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, my colleague Michelle once said to me that science is the application of mathematics. So you need the math learning to do the science. And I thought that was a beautiful way to say that. But then you also mentioned vocabulary. And do you have anything else you want to say to the group about that?
So one thing, we also are part of over here in the Flathead Valley, we do a rocket rally. And so we have rocket scientists that come in and teach our eighth graders about it. And so like they're keen on using two significant figures in science. So then I'm like, okay, so in math, when we look at a decimal, okay, what would two significant figures mean? And so then, we incorporate it's the hundredths place. And so again, just trying to implement and trying to make as many connections across both bridges there. So.
Yeah, that vocabulary alignment can be so powerful for students. It's also a huge struggle for them, I think, whichever classroom they're moving from, right? Grade level to grade level, or science or ELA to math or whatever. But it can increase the burden when they come into our classroom and we're using a different word to describe the same thing, because now not only do they need to use that skill or learn the skill, they also need to learn a new vocabulary word for it, which can be quite a challenge. Eva dropped in the MAST training thing. You passed the test, Eva. Thank you. So that's the link if you're interested in setting up something to support with MAST. That team will do what they can, or link you to videos that they already have or something like that. But so there's that resource. Was there anything else that someone wanted to share that's maybe a priority action for them as a school district, or is it just an individual teacher in their classroom? Okay, well, I did the obligatory 30-second wait time, 1 minute wait time, but we'll keep trucking along because we're almost at the end of our time together. I'm wondering what you feel like. Maybe we'll change this to one big thing, but what's one big thing you need in order to feel successful for the next year? This would be support systems. I'm seeing Holly saying time. Yep, time. Does anybody have any ideas of how they might advocate for that time? Maybe that's a loaded question to put on a recording of all of you guys with your districts. But I think just the idea of advocating for time is so important, and especially maybe trying to work with administrators. I don't know that every administrator knows that the new standards are being revised and adopted and what the timeline is for that. So maybe just putting that on their radar would be helpful, and saying, hey, here's, my thinking is I need to do these things, and here's how much time I think I'm going to need for that. What can you offer me? Can I come in can I spend a PIR day doing that? Is that an option? Can I have a PLC time? Can I have in a wonderful world, wouldn't it be great if you had an extra prep time for just this? But probably not going to happen next year. But anyway, all of those things that you think you need, I think just kind of asking and seeing what your admin can provide would be really, really helpful. I agree, Mary. Don't be afraid to ask. Who knows? But yes, uninterrupted time to do the work and then collaborate with other teachers doing the work is really, really important. If you have anything helpful that, as we've been going through this series this year, that you've created, or like a tip for best practice that you want to share, I think the group would be really curious what you have to say. Has anyone started? I'm seeing some head nods.
Something that was really helpful the last time the standards changed, when we had the Northwest Montana Educational Co-op here, the director at the time held some professional development where we created different folders and had the standards actually like pasted onto the folders. And so any supplementary material we found, we would put in those folders and then just kind of start to create things that aligned better with our curriculum. And that was a really helpful tool that time around. And so I'm thinking of doing something similar to that moving forward this time.
That's so cool.
I don't remember which workshop it was that we were doing, but one of the things mentioned was every lesson you teach, see if it fits in your new standards or it doesn't, so that you're not doing it all at one time. And I have been doing that, and I feel so much less stressed about what I'm going to do for next year. So I got to go back and do a little from the beginning, but I'm not doing my algebra 2, my geometry, every single class all at one time. It's just lesson by lesson. It was such a great idea.
That's brilliant. Yeah, implementation doesn't mean everything has to be perfect in year one, right? So I think just stepping back and saying, you know what, it's not going to be perfect, but year one expectation is that I'm trying and that I'm doing things, right? And that I have a plan. I think that's really the goal of implementing new standards at the start. And then eventually you should get to the point where you have everything perfectly aligned. But the reality is some of us are teaching in schools where we're the only math teacher, and doing that alignment for multiple subjects or multiple grade levels can be really challenging. So that's great practical advice. If there is a document, maybe I'll give Eva another pop quiz, but on the Math Standards Revision website, there is a like an alignment tool that I made that just goes through and kind of helps you triage. So it goes unit by unit, not so much lesson by lesson, but you could go through and go, okay, in this unit, I teach these 5 standards, right? 4 standards. And then as I go through, I'm noticing that in my textbook, there's kind of a weak alignment here, there's a strong alignment here, partial alignment here. And then when I go through to go do that revision cycle, I now know which ones I want to make my priorities, right? And so maybe that's based off of just curriculum. Maybe it's also based off of, as I'm teaching it, I'm also recognizing that my students aren't as successful as I want them to be. So that's touching on Angela's comment about MAST. So maybe my curriculum's strongly aligned, but the results are not there. So I might add that one to my pile that I want to review or revise or look at as more the targeted revision for implementation as well. I'm sure she'll find that link for you soon. But we have about 5 minutes left, and I want to make sure that I respect your time and end on time. So I'll stick around a little bit after if anybody has specific questions that they want to ask. We are going to be starting again in August of this summer. We're going to take a little hiatus because all of you are going on break, but also we will be doing some in-person training over the summer. So we're just going to take a little break. In August, we're going to move into a more applied approach. So this was really all about awareness and kind of some planning. And next year, we'll really target into, let's look at a specific domain. Let's look at the assessments for that, the way that we're instructing it. Let's look at the alignment in our curriculums, all those things that are important to all of you in practice. We'll do that as a peer-based group, and we'll have 2 separate sessions, K-8, because their standards didn't have as significant changes. And then we'll do 9-12 in their own session because theirs is really a whole mind warp. So we'll let them have their own space. But K-8 we'll have breakout groups so that you'll be with people who speak your language, so to speak, as far as the grade level goes. So that's kind of the plan. Like I said, we'll start in August. We'll do the full year into April. So be on the lookout in your emails for some information about what the programming of that will be like. But hopefully that will help you with the work that you've got going ahead. You can register for that if you want. Eva will drop well, she may not because I just gave her a separate assignment. But in a moment, she did it already. There's a link for that year 2 if you want to sign up now. We'll do K-8 on the 2nd Thursday of every month and 9-12 on the 3rd. And then there's some in-person events that I mentioned earlier. We have the OPI Summer Institute, STEM Summer Institute, and Montana Math Meet, or MCubed, happening. I have on the slide deck some clickable links for those. So you can pull that slide deck up and just go where you want. I will call out the STEM Summer Institute has a scholarship available until April 30th. So if you don't want to pay $250, you might apply for the scholarship and see if you can get your travel and cost of registration and stuff covered. And with that being said, we finished 2 minutes early, which is the exact time that you need to fill out the evaluation form. So if you could please fill that out, I'll make sure to get you all your PDUs. And yeah, I'll stick around if there's any specific questions. Thank you for joining and giving me your valuable time this afternoon. You're welcome, Rachel. You're welcome, Mary. Thank you for the participation that everybody had today. That was great to hear all the ideas and thoughts. Thanks, Matt. Thank you for sharing. Oh, now that I'm not presenting, I guess I could find that link.
I dropped one in there. It's a Word document. Is that the correct one?
Yeah.
Okay, I dropped it in there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I do see that now.
Flurry of links.